So it wasn't until just before recording this that I realized, oh yeah, it's April 1st. This is not a joke video. This is an actual video. This is real content. Real content. I am doing a real review because I read a thing and it was good and I want to talk about it. You know how the fuck this shit works. Now, for those who are unaware, I am a huge fan of Avatar: Last Airbender and its divisive sequel, The Legend of Korra. In fact, I am currently working on a big, elaborate The Legend of Korra video. And by working on, I mean I have been watching a shit ton of Avatar: Last Airbender and a shit ton of Legend of Korra, and I have been writing down notes. And then I lost the fucking notepad that I wrote it all on, so now I'm about to go and rewatch Avatar: Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Basically, I'm watching a bunch of fucking cartoons and calling it goddamn work. But on top of watching cartoons, I've also been reading comics. Very specifically, the Legend of Korra comic. For those of you not familiar with the comics, they are co-written by the series creator, Brian Konietzko and Michael DiMartino. So they are, you know, canon stories. They are the official continuations of Aang and Korra in their own respective comics. And the Avatar comics have been going for a while. They're like 5 books or 6 books in. And Korra just had its first storyline and just got its first collected edition. And yeah. And being a huge fan of Korra and of Avatar, obviously, like, you know, like, I've been really excited about this comic because ever since The Legend of Korra ended, I've always wanted to see more of it because I felt like Korra always had, like, a bit more opportunities for, like, more storytelling. Like, I didn't necessarily ever want or need more Avatar except to find out what happened to Zuko's mother. I needed to know what the hell happened to goddamn Zuko's mom. And if you need to know what happened to Zuko's mom and you have not read the comics, it's in the comics. So yeah, if you just now learned the comics are a thing and you want to know what the fuck happened to Zuko's mom, read the comics. So with Avatar: Last Airbender, I felt like that was a very conclusive story, like it was a one big arc and Aang's thing wrapped up, and, you know, yeah, there's still potential for more storytelling there, but I was really more interested in Korra and Asami because, you know, their relationship had just started. Like, we had just seen the very, very, very beginning of it actually being a thing. And obviously, due to TV censorship rules, that they couldn't really go into it in the depth that they really would want to. They were really hamstrung there. So they got away with as much as they could, which wasn't a whole lot. And even after the finale aired, it was still vague enough that people were arguing about it online for several days until the series creators each wrote their own blog posts talking about, yeah, no, they're a couple. This is canon. Korra-Asami is canon now. But like I said, I was really invested in those characters. I was really invested in kind of like, because also, you know, Korra also had like more, this kind of, arc-based storytelling. So it's like, oh, we can get more arcs and they can continue where the last one left off. And it, you know, I wanted more. I just wanted more. And I got more. And it was good. Like, good. Like, not great. Not bad. Not even, like, mediocre. Just, you know, it was good. It was good. You know, it was, like, it progressed the characters. It followed up a lot on the Korra-Asami stuff, which I was not actually even expecting. I thought that they were going to be like, oh yeah, they're a couple now, and then they were going to go on an adventure, and they were kind of... And honestly, like, a lot of this comic is... Well, not necessarily a lot, but a surprising amount of it was dedicated to, like, bringing up the whole Korra-Asami thing. Like, it starts off with their spirit vacation, and, like, you know, their vacation ends with them kissing, and them talking about, like, when did the other one know, and, like, how did they, you know, their feelings develop for one another. Basically answering a lot of the questions that people were kind of wondering, like, yeah, wait, when the hell was this relationship happening? And the signs are there, regardless of the naysayers. It didn't come out of fucking nowhere. Like, there's queer-coded shit in that fucking show, goddammit. But yeah, like, this comic takes these opportunities and really fleshes these things out. Like I said, you know, showing their vacation, having them like certain characters talk to them about, like, the fact that like LGBT issues are actually a thing in the Avatar universe. Like, that's something that I wasn't even expecting this comic to tackle, because I just, the idea of gender politics and like sexual politics in the Avatar universe is something I just never thought about being a thing. And it's something that it was a really pleasant surprise when I actually got to experience that. Like, Korra telling her parents that she's in a relationship with Asami, and her being nervous to tell her parents. Tenzin's sister Kaya, approaching them and being like, so, like, you guys are a really beautiful couple. How long have you guys been together? And them being like, oh shit, and it's like, oh yeah, no, it reminds me of like, my first girlfriend, and blah, 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 blah. And, you find out that Kaya's gay. Which, that's totally fucking on brand for her. Like, honestly, I'm surprised I've never considered her gay before. And, like, they actually get to, like, talk about how, maybe some people aren't going to be accepting, but that's okay, because, and, like, they really get into the whole, being a gay person, like, just in society. And that was, like I said, something I was not expecting to see, and it was a very pleasant surprise that they actually tackled the issues. They actually started going into a little bit of the history of it. Like, when Kaya came out to Aang, and Aang was just totally cool with it, because Aang is a fucking airbender, and like his whole monk thing was about like everyone being happy and, being accepting and, peace and serenity. So of course Aang wouldn't have a fucking problem with something like that. The Water Tribe, not like bigoted, but it's just kind of like, just keep it to yourself kind of mentality. Like, not overly aggressive about it, but just, people are very private apparently, like in the Water Tribe, so they don't talk about those things. Then you had same-sex relationships were common in the Fire Nation until Sozin took over. When Sozin took over and his fascist regime rolled over the world, he outlawed same-sex relationships. And that's something that the Fire Nation has been working to get out of. And then you have the more militaristic Earth Kingdom, and the Earth Kingdom is, under, like, their kind of royal rule, like, like I said, very militarized, very conservative, like, they're still not very keen on gay relationships. And like, all of that stuff, like when Kaya's explaining all of that, it's like, it totally checks out. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Also, Avatar Kyoshi is bi, which, once again, I believe it. That seems completely on brand for her. And, they get into the fact that, like, even as the Avatar, she wasn't really accepted by the Earth Kingdom for her, relationships. So yeah, like, I imagine, like, if you're not, like, part of the queer community to any extent, you might be a little off-put by it, or maybe you'll be fascinated by it. I really can't say, but, like, good swaths of this comic are, like, when it gets into the relationship aspects, they really take the time to, like, focus on, like, what it means to be a queer couple in this world. And I appreciated it. Now, everything I just said is actually, like, all side element stuff. I mean, it's stuff that I was really hoping that they build upon, but it is not the core of the comic. The core of the comic is the Turf War, which is what the comic is named. Ever since Kuvira had attacked and, like, left a whole bunch of people homeless after destroying, so much of the city, the gangs have now been going to war with one another, trying to take over different territories. So this is what Korra comes back to. Also, the political landscape is kind of a clusterfuck, because Raiko completely pussed out to Kuvira, so now nobody likes his ass. So now he's trying to get reelected, and he's trying, like, Korra and Asami are like, hey, if you do these things, people will like this. And it's just like, oh yeah, but then it's just like, he clearly doesn't actually care about the people. He's really just trying to get reelected. And then this leads into Zhu Li, Varric's wife, which, oh god, they have a few scenes together. It's super goddamn cute. Zhu Li is talked into running for president, so that becomes a plot line in the comic. But the main thrust of it is, well, like I said, all that political stuff, And on top of the turf war, and you have the triple threat triads. Their boss has been killed off by some new guy. New guy is dangerous as fuck, non-bender. He uses the same kind of blades that Jet used in Avatar. So, that's kind of cool. But yeah, he gets, fucked up while he's in the spirit world by a pissed off spirit, and it's the same thing that happens, when we saw in Legend of Korra. It was spirit, aggressively, makes contact with you. You turn into this, misshapen, monster thing. So now, our big bad is, a bird, dragon, lizard man, partially. He is now, fucking up the territories and just causing chaos, and it's pretty cool. It's alright. The fact that he's, this weird lizard man thing is kind of odd, but it completely also kind of falls in line with what's been pre-established in Korra already, so this isn't some new weird thing. It's just kind of weird to see it in this context and how it's done, because now it's a villain. And I don't want to get too much into spoilers, because I've already mentioned things that happen about the mid, because everything I've mentioned so far is probably the halfway point. But the halfway point of the comic, that's all the stuff that I've talked about so far. But obviously, bad guys versus good guys. The good guys are going to come out victorious. It's just a matter of how. And honestly, without spoiling any of that, I will say the way that it ends is kind of yeah, okay, and they beat him. All right. He plays some very particular games. Nothing too crazy, nothing too elaborate, but he definitely tries to keep Korra at bay, and it works for a bit, and it's fine, but it's nothing too crazy. And yeah, honestly, it's a fairly basic story. There's nothing too honestly, what makes the story good is the political aspect, the stuff with the people being dislocated and not having a place to live, and Korra having to be this beacon for the people, and Julie, trying to take the reins as president, or running for president, as well as the relationship between Korra and Asami that runs throughout the entire comic, obviously. And yeah, there's a lot of great character moments, and as far as all the Korrasami stuff, it gives you literally everything that you could potentially want to see from the Korrasami relationship, expanded on from, just the little smidgen that we got at the end of book 4. You will get that. You want to see Korra awkwardly talk to Mako, you're gonna get that. You want to see Korra talking to her parents, like I said, you're gonna get that. You want to see just Korra and Asami just have cute moments together as a couple, you will get a lot of that. If you like the more, mature political story elements of the Korra anime, like I said, obviously it's dealing with politics, and it's dealing with the people and their opinions of their leader. So obviously you're gonna get that. Really, the only thing that really holds this story down is the villain aspect of it, because the villain isn't that interesting. He doesn't really have an ideology. He's just kind of a thug who's just greedy and wants territory. So he doesn't have an interesting ideology like the previous Korra villains have. He's really just kind of some asshole who shakes things up while we're kind of still establishing all these other things. Like I said, the whole Julie subplot with the president, and Raiko also running for president, and the issue with the people, and also there's a lot of shit going on with the spirits. I didn't even mention that, because where the spirit portal opened up, the one that Korra bust open, some guy owns that, and he wants to build basically a goddamn amusement park thing that runs straight into the fucking spirit world, and the spirits are pissed about that, and so there's unrest between the people and the spirits, and people being maybe you should close the portal, no, you need to leave the portal open, and there's a lot of good shit happening in this comic. The only thing that really holds it back, like I said, is the villain aspect. There is another villainous character in it, who leads another rival gang that's never actually been mentioned in the show, the Creeping Crystals. And, you know, the leader of that seems more interesting. I would, you know, maybe there's, you know, potential for more storytelling with her. Who knows? But, yeah, like I said, the only shortcoming of this is why I say it's a good story. It's good. It's not great. It's not a masterpiece. It's not bad. I just think it's good. It is just above, like, okay. And like I said, it's, you know, there's that whole villain element of the story. Like, the whole antagonistic force of the comic really falls short, but everything else is really goddamn good. And it's not even like the villain element is bad. He's just fine. He's like generic shonen villain. But I expect more from Korra villains, because Amon was a fascinating villain. Zahir was a fascinating villain. Kuvira was a fascinating villain. And even though I skipped him because I wanted to say him for last, Unalaq, he is actually an interesting villain. He's not the most interesting. He's definitely the worst of the four. Even the show makes fun of him for being the worst villain of the series. But he still has goals and motivations, and you, like, these crazy spiritualistic ideologies. Like, he's an interesting guy. He's a fucking whack job, but he's an interesting guy. And I can't say that about the villainous comic. Like, I couldn't really tell you anything about his personality, and I didn't even bother to remember his name. Okay, and there's, like, one more thing I want to complain about, and that is the dimensions on these comics. Because the Avatar comics are actually about, much, like, longer or wider than the Korra comics. The reason is because the Avatar comics have a border around them with annotations for each page. And the Korra comics they take up, the artwork just takes up the full page artwork with no annotations. Some people are really upset for the lack of annotations. Honestly, I don't miss the annotations. I never really needed them in the first place. But I do dislike the fact that now, like, if I put these all on a shelf, I either have to, would have to pull the Korra books out further so that way they're all flush, or just have them be like, you know, Avatar books out here and Korra books out there. I don't know why they couldn't make these uniforms. I don't know why they didn't do annotations. Honestly, I don't even know why, like, the Avatar books felt the need to, like, have the wider format with the border around it that has the annotations instead of putting all the annotations in the back with, like, page markers. That would have been, I think, a much better option for the Avatar comics. And they could have done something similar with the Korra comics, or just not at all, and I never could have sat flush on my goddamn bookshelf, and my Avatar comics could have full page artwork, but that's just not the world I live in. But yeah, that's everything I had to say about these comics. Like I said, I do enjoy them. I like the Avatar comics. I like the Korra comic. I am looking forward to the next Korra comic. I need to get caught up on the Avatar comics, because I only actually own the first two, because I just really want to know what happened to Zuko's mom. At some point, I definitely need to read the rest of those. I'm really looking forward to the next Korra storyline, because that deals with Kuvira and bringing her back. So yeah, if you are a fan of Avatar Last Airbender and or Korra, definitely check these out. They're worth reading. If you're a fan, it's more Avatar, it's more Korra. And they're official, and they're written by the creators, so there's not even like a thing of like, oh, it's officially licensed, but, you know, you could argue the canonicity. Like, these are the original creators coming back to their universe to tell more stories. You don't get much more official than that.